it's Dan and Lee in our Sunday class with the Life of Christ in Stereo. Today we're doing part 2 of the Leaven of Air. So how are you, Miss Lee?
Hey.
So what verses are we going through today?
Well, we're in part 2, but the verses that we're covering are Matthew 15:39 through 16:12 and Mark 8:9b through 21.
Okay, and one of the reasons we're doing this class, I was just working on a new webpage that all these classes will be there, is as I'm trying to write this up, what is it we're really doing? We're really showing how God would live if he was a man. Because that's what Jesus was. Jesus was God who became a man, and he lived like we do, even through the power of the Holy Spirit, like we have to. So he gives us the model of how to live, and that's what this is all about. So go ahead and start reading.
Okay, so do we want me to summarize from last week what we read? We read part of this, and we just talked about how Jesus had sent away the multitude, and they got in a boat, and they went to Magdala, and there was a whole bunch of people there, and the Pharisees and the Sadducees, and they kept asking for a miraculous sign. And Jesus said that this is a generation that is wicked and adulterous and demanding a miraculous sign. And so that's what we're going on from there.
Okay, let's go.
All right. Now they had forgotten to take bread, and except for one loaf, they had none with them in the boat. And when his disciples reached the farther shore, Jesus warned them, saying, "Take heed and beware of the leaven of the Pharisees and the Sadducees and of Herod." So they began to question with one another, saying, "Is it because we brought no loaves?" You think that's what they're questioning? Why is he saying?
Well, they don't get it. I mean, leaven of the Pharisees. See, leaven is something that's in bread, and
So
this,
they just feel guilty for not having enough bread.
probably because most people think materialistically,
Mm-hmm.
but Jesus is talking about the hidden kingdom, the kingdom that's invisible, and that is based in principles, not in laws of nature. And here. This is I think this is probably one of the most important concepts of the leaven of the Pharisees, the leaven of the Sadducees, and the leaven of the Herodians. These three represent legalism, rationalism, and statism. The three basic things that we get sucked up into by just, I'm just a little bit of a statist, or I'm just a little bit of a legalist, or I'm just a little bit of a what was the other one? Rationalist. And Jesus said, no, this leaven is a very dangerous thing, because you do a little bit, and Lee does this all the time because she makes this wonderful pizza dough. And she takes this little bit. How much is it? Is it just a pinch?
Oh, well, it's a little bit more than that. It's like 2 teaspoons.
Okay, 2 teaspoons.
But it's
a
in
little bit
2 cups of water, so it's
of
like
yeast and
nothing.
Yeah,
and almost 4 cups of flour.
Yeah, and it just looks like it's not there, and over time it just makes that dough grow. It takes over the whole lump.
Yeah.
And
it does.
that is the sample of really what Jesus is talking about. These ideas, even though they're a little bit, we don't want, like little white lies,
Oh, yeah.
That's a little bit. No, we don't lie. No, we don't just steal a little bit. No, we don't just, see, it's this little bit that grows, and that's why you don't want to cross that line of the little bit.
Okay, so we will go on. But Jesus, perceiving it, said to them, "Why question with one another, you of little faith, because you did not bring loaves? Do you not perceive yet nor understand? Are your hearts still unresponsive? Do you have eyes but do not see, and ears but do not hear? And do you not remember? When I broke the 5 loaves for the 5,000, how many baskets full of fragments did you take up?
This is so key. Not just a couple weeks ago, we were talking about how he multiplied these things.
Mm-hmm.
And he says, don't you realize that I'm the God of the universe and I can do this? That's really what he's saying.
Yeah.
This little bit of doubt that comes from Phariseeism, Sadduceeism, and Herodianism. They're all secular, naturalistic ways of looking at the world.
So he asked them how many baskets. They answered him, 12. And when the 7 for the 4,000, how many basketfuls of fragments took you up?
I did it twice.
And they said, 7. So he said to them, how is it you do not understand? Why do you not see that it was not concerning bread I told you to beware of the leaven of the Pharisees and Sadducees? Then they understood that he had not warned them of the leaven of bread, but of the teaching of the Pharisees and Sadducees.
That is the key, the way you think. The teaching is the key to everything. As a man, and in the Old Testament, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. This is why we are working our time as we're older in Disciples University to develop this concept of teaching, which this is part of the teaching of this person of Jesus in living a life that was sinless in a material world. And that's what we are to do too.
That's all of our lesson for today.
Well, we don't need to go far, so we did it, and we'll see you next week. This has been Dan and Lee and the Life of Christ in Stereo in our Sunday class.